The markets are closed, but the business stories are just heating up. Hello, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Catch up with us on Business Blue. Asian shares are mostly higher as U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping are set to hold talks next Thursday. Australia's ASX is in negative territory while the rest of the region's benchmarks trade higher. In the currency market, the U.S. dollar weakens against the Thai baht but strengthens against the rest of Asia's major currencies. The Australian dollar, meanwhile, slips against the greenback. In commodities, gold falls 0.4% while oil prices are mixed. In cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin rises 0.8% and Ethereum jumps over 3%. The Sandigan Bayan Special 3rd Division acquits former Senate President and current Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Juan Ponce Enrile of 15 counts of graft. This is in connection with his 172.8 million peso Priority Development Assistance Fund or PDAF. Also cleared are his former Chief of Staff, Jessica Gigi Reyes, and businesswoman Janet Lim Napoles. The court ruled that the prosecution failed to prove the guilt of the accused beyond reasonable doubt. The Sandigan Bayan also found no basis to impose any civil liability or fine on Enrile, Reyes, and his former Deputy Chief of Staff, Jose Antonio Evangelista, who was also acquitted of all graft charges. Bicol Saro Representative Terry Ridon said the inclusion of Congressman Eric Yap as a person of interest in the flood control scandal shows that corruption runs deep and dates back to previous administrations. On BNC's Business 360, Ridon raised the importance of the ICI's move to trace cases as far back as 2015, calling it crucial to uncover the full extent of infrastructure corruption. He said more names are expected to surface as investigators follow the money trail and connect links within the banking system.
Well, to be perfectly clear, there are many masterminds, not just one mastermind. There will be legislators, there will be congressmen, senators, and even executive officials here. But I think if they made the mistake, for example, of going through the banking system, the financial system, and AMLC, had been able to find that entire paper trail, which I think they had seen in Congressman Yap's money trail within the banking system. I think that is how legislators might actually be linked.
Lawmakers discover an unfinished deal between Maharlika Investment Corporation and the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines. Hanati has the details.
I thought we were celebrating na mababa yung nakuha natin. 'Di ba? Nakatipid pa tayo, napakagaling ng Maharlika team dahil nakatipid tayo, nakakuha tayo ng discount. Pero wala pa pala.
We are supposed to get
parang nabudol yata tayo eh.
What was thought to be a done deal is apparently not yet final. The government was supposed to make its first major investment through Maharlika Investment Corporation by buying a 20% stake in the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines. But as energy officials confirmed in a Senate hearing, that deal hasn't happened yet. The NGCP controls the country's entire power transmission grid. This means the government has not yet secured its supposed eyes and ears inside the country's sole power grid operator.
As per our conversations with MIC, Mr. Chair, wala pa yung, how do you call it, the contract itself. There was a letter of irrevocable letter of intent or...
Lawmakers say the Maharlika stake was supposed to give the government a crucial seat at the table, especially since a big share of NGCP is owned by a state-owned Chinese firm.
Especially with the precarious situation in the West Philippine Sea, we know for a fact that big share is owned by the State Grid Corporation of China. Yun ang worry namin dito no? Na with one flick of a switch, baka pwede tayo maparalyze Sana yun yung those are the things that hopefully will not happen, no?
The delay, senators warn, has real implications on national security and on where public funds are going.
I am not looking at making money out of it. I'm looking at securing the country. No? So that's the whole point. But I was surprised na wala pa palang ganon.
The Energy Department says it has yet to receive official communication from NGCP on the addition of Maharlika representatives to its board. This means there's still no government seat or vote in grid decisions.
So far, we have not gotten any official communication regarding we have 2 new members of the board. There's supposed to be 12 and an additional 2 to accommodate Maharlika. As concessionaires.
Again,
Senator J.V. Ejercito also reminded that
Sir,
this problem traces back to the early
intended
2000s when NGCP's privatization was rushed under the Electric Power Industry Reform Act of 2001. He says amendments are needed to correct that mistake. Lawmakers urged the Energy Department to stay in the loop, saying this is not just a business deal. It's a matter of energy and national security. Hannah T, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is set to attend the 47th Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN Summit, next week. Foreign Affairs spokesperson Angelica Escalona says the president will push the country's national interest in his engagements from October 26 to 28 in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Bilateral meetings with other heads of state are also expected to take place. The Philippines will formally assume the ASEAN chairmanship for 2026 at the conclusion of the meetings. Special Assistant to the President for Investments and Economic Affairs, Secretary Frederick Go, and Royale Cold Storage President Ferdinand Chongson lead the groundbreaking ceremony for the expansion of the cold storage facility in Plaridel, Bulacan. The 1.5-hectare facility will be among the projects to be financed by a $2 billion investment from its partner, U.S.-based infrastructure investment manager I-Squared Capital. On Thursday, I-Squared officials met with President Marcos in Malacanang. The firm vows to keep investing in Philippine infrastructure, signaling trust in the government's economic reforms. The global shift to electric vehicles is accelerating, and the Philippines wants a place on the map. The country is gearing up to join the worldwide race for EV production as officials explore plans for a local manufacturing plant. The move is expected to create jobs, draw fresh investments, and boost the Philippines' role in the clean energy supply chain. Our mobility correspondent, G. Baroga, has the details.
Is an electric vehicle manufacturing plant possible in the Philippines? That's the big dream of Secretary Frederick Go for the local electric vehicle sector, shared during the opening of the 3-day Philippine EV Summit in Pasay City, Thursday, October 23rd. Secretary Go says the government's main goal has already been met, getting Filipinos to shift from traditional cars to sustainable mobility, helping not just the environment but also the Philippine economy. And with the country's EV industry growing fast, his office is gearing up for the next big move.
So now the important part for us is the next part, which is to try to get electric vehicle manufacturing in the Philippines so that we are able to provide a lot of jobs and investments in our country that will have a multiplier effect to the economy.
When BNC Mobility asked for more details, the secretary says it's best to wait for things to take shape, but assures there's plenty to look forward to. In fact, his office is now putting together an incentives program tailored for the EV sector and its stakeholders. While the details are not final yet, the program is expected to be patterned after existing ones like CARS, or the Comprehensive Automotive Resurgence Strategy, and Reyes, short for Revitalizing the Automotive Industry for Competitiveness Enhancement. Both aim to keep the auto sector moving forward through investments and incentives. But one big challenge remains: charging infrastructure. According to Electric Vehicle Association of the Philippines, or EVAP President Edmund Araga, the goal is to have over 7,000 charging stations nationwide by 2028, and more than 20,000 by 2040.
It is just logical that as the number of EVs consistently jump every year, the figure for EVCS must match that spike so as to convince more Filipinos to switch to EV and realize the economic and environmental benefits of turning to electric mobility.
At the 13th EV Summit, Araga also called on government agencies to help keep the EV roadmap and the industry on track.
We are calling the attention of Department of Finance under BOC or Bureau of Customs to be fair with the industry in paralleling the same treatment as what they provide with the IC associations in fast-tracking the process in importation, particularly import assessment system.
By 2040, EVAP is eyeing at least 2.5 million electric vehicles on Philippine roads, a target they say is well within reach given the steady rise in numbers each year. For BNC Mobility, G. Baroga.
We're taking a short break. More stories are up next. You're watching Business Brief. You're back on Business Brief. First Gen Corporation and Prime Infrastructure Capital have received clearance from the Philippine Competition Commission for the proposed sale of a 60% stake in First Gen's gas business for 50 billion pesos. The clearance covers Prime Infra's purchase of a majority interest in First Gen's gas subsidiaries following the company's earlier execution of a term sheet and share purchase agreement. First Gen said both parties continue to work towards completing all remaining conditions to finalize the transaction. Renewable power pioneer Alternergy seals a 2.4 billion peso co-investment deal with ABC Energy for its Tanay and Alabat wind projects. Alternergy Holdings Corporation announced that ABC Energy Incorporated, the energy holding arm of listed A. Brown Company, acquired a 40% stake in its 128-megawatt Tanay and 64-megawatt Alabat wind projects. Alternergy retained majority ownership of 60% through its wind holding company, Alternergy Wind Holdings Corporation. Both wind projects are in advanced construction stages and were targeted for completion by early 2026. They're set to become the first wind farms completed under the second green energy auction during the current administration. The Fullest Group's listed companies have been recognized for strong corporate governance at the 2025 Golden Arrow Awards by the Institute of Corporate Directors. Fullest Development Corporation, Fullest REIT Corporation, and East West Bank each received 2 Golden Arrows, while Fullest Land earned 1. The awards honor publicly listed firms that achieve high ratings in the ASEAN Corporate Governance Scorecard, measuring shareholder rights, stakeholder relations, transparency, and board accountability. FDC President and CEO Rhoda Huang said the recognition reflects the company's commitment to embedding good governance principles that support growth and foster stakeholder trust. Robinsons Retail Holdings Incorporated reports a 3% increase in core net earnings to 1.5 billion pesos in the third quarter. In a disclosure, the company said year-to-date core net earnings rose to 4.2 billion pesos as of September, up 3.9% from last year. The growth was attributed to the expansion of gross margins. Leading Vismin developer Cebu Landmasters and Japan's NTT Urban Development Asia break ground on the Wave Towers, Cebu's first Japanese-inspired residential landmark. The first phase of the 9.2 billion peso project, called Nagomi Tower, marked a milestone for the partnership under the joint venture CLI NUD or NUD Ventures Incorporated. CLI Chairman and CEO Jose Soberano says the Wave Towers symbolize the blend of innovation, craftsmanship, and respect for culture, a shared vision between the two firms. Former Development Bank of the Philippines President and CEO Emmanuel Herbosa resigns as independent director of the publicly listed investment firm Premier Horizon Alliance, citing differing views on policy and management. Herbosa, who joined the company as chairman 2 years ago, steps down effective October 23, just a month before PHA's annual stockholders meeting in November. Stephen Cesar Virata, son of former Prime Minister Cesar Virata and former Senator Orlando Mercado, have been nominated to fill the two independent director seats. The company has faced internal turmoil in recent years amid an ownership dispute between self-styled fintech guru Marvin de la Cruz and his former partner Brian Leong, current PHA director and son of Marian Peña. President Trump ends all trade negotiations with Canada after condemning what he describes as a fraudulent advertisement featuring the late President Ronald Reagan speaking against tariffs. In a social media post, Trump said the $75,000 ad distorted the facts. He also called it egregious behavior intended to influence court decisions. The post came after Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney announced plans to double the country's exports to nations outside the U.S. amid tariff pressures. Terminating negotiations is expected to further escalate trade tensions that had been building between the two neighboring countries for months. Philippine shares bounce back to the 5,900 level as it returns to negative territory. The PSEI closed over 1% lower at 59.88, making it the worst performer in Asia. All sectoral indices were in the red, with mining and oil falling the most at more than 2%. Decliners outnumbered advancers 123 to 75, with value turnover at 26.3 billion pesos. Week on week, the PSEI fell nearly 2%. Majority of the day's most active stocks were in the red, with BPI falling the most at over 4%. Metrobank rose the most at 0.7%. In currency markets, the peso trades at 58.65 against the US dollar, slightly weaker from the previous close of 58.61. That's a wrap for today's Business Brief. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Join us again next week as we bring you the stories that help you plan your next big, bold moves in business, only here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel.